Hello, this is Bob Joyner, and in this video we're going to be talking about paper trading for beginners, but also for anyone who wants to improve their trading. And the reason I say that is because about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago now, I was leading a conference room of traders, hundreds of traders, and I asked them this one question. I said, if you could do one thing differently, go back to the beginning of your trading career and do one thing differently, what would that be? And by far, the majority of people made this statement: I wish I had paper traded longer. And the reason for that is pretty simple. In the beginning, you don't know what you don't know, right? In the beginning, a lot of traders begin with very high expectations, huge expectations. They think they have a very high probability for success. Perhaps they believe the hype that's in the media that maybe trading is easy and that they've heard of these people, making a huge amount of money on certain stocks such as GameStop or whatever. And so they think it's going to be relatively easy. And then it doesn't take too long to find out that, it's a lot more difficult than what they realized. So for those people, congratulations. If you've taken the time to do paper trading, then you understand the risk of live trading and you've taken a step back before using real money. But now, how do you know if you're ready to make the leap to live trading with real money, and what's the best way to get started? So just covering a couple of things in here. How do I know I'm ready to start using real money is often the question that people think after they've been paper trading for a while. So we're going to cover that, okay? But here's the basic rule. If you sum it all up, here's what it is. Paper trade until your probabilities for success outweigh your probabilities for failure. Now that may seem a simplistic solution to the question there, but it's actually pretty detailed because until you have proven to yourself that you have a high probability for success, you're not going to have the confidence to go in there and start making live trades with real money. You're just not going to have it. So you've got to take the time to be aware. There are many reasons for paper trading, so let's go ahead and go over some of those. You may be new to trading. Like I said, this is for beginners, but not for beginners only. You may be new to trading. You may be working on a new strategy. A lot of traders get bored with the strategy that they figured out or the strategy they've learned through a course or a book or whatever, and they get bored and they start having some losses in that strategy, so they start looking around for new strategies. And what happens a lot of times, I've done it, is that you start trading live on this new strategy before you've actually developed it thoroughly. So if you're working on a new strategy, take the time to paper trade, and I mean paper trade until you're successfully profitable with that new strategy before you use real money. Let's say you start a new alert service or you start a new chat room, for example, for day trading. I highly suggest, as I do for people who are starting my services, highly suggest that you paper trade in the beginning and you get a feel for the chat room, you get a feel for the strategy, the chart setup, that sort of thing, before you start trying to use real money. Now, I know this is a difficult thing for people to do. It's difficult for you to put the brakes on and just kind of slow down enough to get really good at this. But the money that you save by not losing money in the beginning is money you won't have to earn back later on. So if you're losing money right now, it's another good reason to go back to paper trading is just put a halt to it and say, look, I got to stop, I got to reassess things, and then come back with real money when I'm ready. If you're not feeling well, you're not always going to feel like trading live, especially day trading. You may have pains, may have a sore throat, you may feel under the weather, you may have had a fight with your spouse. I don't care what the reason is, but if you're not on top of your game and if you can't get yourself back on top of your game in time for the market to open, then paper trade. You can still watch the market, you can still pay attention, you can still test your strategies, but it doesn't have to be every day with real money. And that's okay. Give yourself a little break there, give yourself some grace, and then when you're ready, you'll get back to it. After a series of wins or losses, either one, what happens psychologically to a trader after they've had a series of losses or a series of wins is that they become psychologically dependent upon that series of losses or wins. Winning a long time in a series of trades can give you overconfidence, can make you trade too much, can make you trade with too much equity right at the time where your odds are probably going to kick in, where you may not do as well. okay, because the odds eventually do work out. If you've had a series of losses, then you're not feeling very confident as a trader, or you may feel the need to get back to the market for money that you lost. Not a good time to be trading with real money. Trading a new financial instrument. Let's say, for example, that you've been trading stocks all your life and you decide to venture into Forex trading. The charts that I use for trading Forex, for example, are very different from the charts that I use for day trading the SPY options, or the charts that I use for day trading stocks, or the charts that I use for swing trading stocks. All those are different financial instruments in a way. Just because you have a strategy figured out in one department doesn't mean that's going to easily roll over into another department. If you're going to change to a different financial instrument, go back to paper trading and get that new financial instrument doing right and making money before you start using real money. Another reason for going back to paper trading is that your account has fallen below 25,000 and you are a US trader and you're used to day trading stocks. And of course, to be a pattern day trader in the US market, you need to have 25K or more as a cushion. If you just feel the need to be careful, if you feel the need to just to sit back and analyze and take a breather, then do it. Reasons for live trading. Paper trading is consistently profitable, and that's partly what I said in the beginning. How do you know when you make the switch? Well, if you would have made money with your paper trading, then it may be time to switch into a live trading with real money, and I'll talk about the steps for doing that in just a second, but that may be the time. It's the only way you can begin to make money, right? The whole idea is to start using real money so that you can make real money, and you're not going to make any money while you're paper trading, of course. So that unfortunately pushes a lot of people, a lot of traders to start trading with real money before they're actually ready, because they have this push, this need, this desire to make money in the market before they're ready. Having a clearly written process for trading. Trading is a process. I'm not going to go into all that right now, but you have a system. You have a system, you have a pattern that you follow, you have a process for gathering information, for gathering your watch list, for waiting for the perfect trade setup to occur, for making the trade entry, for evaluating your trades. All that's a process, and you need to have that figured out before you start doing live trading with real money. It also assumes that you have a strategy that produces consistent results over time. It doesn't mean you're never going to have a losing trade. One of the things I've done myself and others have done is you have a proven strategy, but then you start to have a couple of losses in there, and now you think, well, maybe this strategy doesn't work anymore. And what it is, what it could be, is that you're just seeing the natural probability of that strategy in the marketplace, and maybe your testing in hindsight was 90% accurate or whatever, and then you get into real trading and you find out, well, it's closer to 60% actually, because you've actually got to be able to execute it when the charts tell you to execute it, and you got to be able to exit when the charts tell you to exit, and you got to be able to stop out with a loss when the charts tell you to stop out. You've got to have a proven strategy, and you just don't dump a strategy because you have a few losses, is what I'm saying. You have to accept the fact that losing trades are all part of a well-tuned strategy. A good strategy doesn't mean you never have losses. It means that you can contain those losses, and that your wins, your profits on your wins far exceed your losses on the losing trades. You have learned to set limits on your losses. You have learned how to set limits on your losses. In paper trading, it's easy to have a little bit of a fudge factor. You can kind of lie to yourself a little bit, cheat a little bit around the edges, and those edges perhaps can be the part where you actually lose your shirt in real trading with real-time live trading and with real money. So you have to be careful. You have to set a limit. What is your limit for how much money you can lose in a day? You should have that written down. And if you go beyond that limit, then you need to stop trading and go back to paper trading for the rest of that day, maybe the rest of that week. You've got to have a limit on your losses, otherwise things are going to get out of hand pretty quickly. You cannot trade without confidence. You have to have humility, but you also have to have confidence. Unfortunately, confidence alone will not make you have good trades. Confidence, overconfidence, can actually thwart your success because you'd start taking trades that aren't completely qualified yet. And then lastly, the statistics support your next step. So for example, some of the statistics you should be looking at in paper trading would be, how many trades does this strategy develop in a single day? Am I at my computer when those strategies occur, when those setups occur, so that I can take them? What is your average loss versus what is your average win? That alone by itself is not enough, but it's an important metric. How many wins do you have versus how many losses do you have? What's the average winning trade versus the average losing trade? And you have to do the math and see, once you figure all that out, do I have a high probability for making money in the market with real money and real-time trading or not? So stepping into live trading with real money. Some of the suggestions I'm going to give to you, and this is based on over 12 years of experience trading and over 12 years experience leading a live day trading chat room. So stepping into live trading with real money, start out with small amounts of equity. Just because you're ready to live trade, you think, doesn't mean you have to spend $25,000 on your first trade. Let it be small. Don't worry about the profit at this point. Worry about keeping with your process, maintaining your strategy, and keeping things just as they were in paper trading, with the only difference being that you're using a small amount of money. Your losses are going to be smaller because you're going to be nervous in the beginning. Your losses are going to be smaller. Your wins are going to be smaller, but that's okay. You're not trying to make $1 gazillion in your first week as a trader once you go live. What you're trying to do is maintain the success you had as a paper trader, but now you're doing it with real money, because there are all these psychological things that go on with us and money and our relationship with money. So you need to understand your relationship with it. I suggest that you develop written affirmations regarding your strategy, your loss limits, and your abilities. Put it on an index card, put it on a piece of paper, put it on your wall, whatever. But get those things in front of you to remind you of the things that your goals are, remind you of what your strategy is, remind yourself of the limits that you're setting for your own losses. Be highly selective in your trade executions. You want to take every trade that's qualified based on your system, but there is a little bit of difference, and you internally, I think you know it. When you come up against a stock setup, it just doesn't feel quite right. Use a little bit less equity if you want to. That's fine to do that. Okay, you don't have to go full gun on every single trade. So be a little bit more selective. Refuse any trade setup that does not meet your proven strategy setup requirements. And then lastly, remain open to going back to paper trading whenever you need to. It's not a crime, okay? What you're doing is you're preserving your equity for when you're ready to use it. What if you crash your account after you start with real money? Then you go back to paper trading. What if you want to make money faster with live trading, but you're not ready yet? One of the ideas for that is to join a chat room, join somebody who you respect, join somebody in a chat room setting where they have a proven strategy and they can tell you the trade setups going into the trade, and you can kind of piggyback on their ideas, piggyback on their strategies, and hopefully piggyback on their profits as well. So you can do that if you're short on time, you don't have time to paper trade because you need to start making money right now, then you need to kind of piggyback on someone else who has proven success. In the description box below this video, I'm going to give you a couple links. One is to the day trading chat room that I lead in the morning. One is to the day trading chat room I lead in the afternoon related to SPY options. Then another one is just simply to my video blog, where I post all the trade setups, all the trades I posted in the morning chat room. And then lastly, you don't find charts and trading that interesting after a while. Well, if you get into it in paper trading, it's okay to say, I'm really not into this. I really don't see what the excitement is. If you don't enjoy it, if you don't really dig into it and want to know more and want to explore further and want to commit a whole lot of hours to learning how to do this, then don't do it. Find some other hobby. But if you don't enjoy it, you don't feel passionate about it, then just quit, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So as I mentioned, I have two different live trading chat rooms. One is the morning session called Stock Talk, which I've been operating a day trading chat room in the morning session for about 12 years now. The more recent chat room is the Afternoon SPY, in which we focus solely on day trading the SPY options. Okay, so if you're interested in either one of those, please go ahead and watch those. So you'll see the links in the description box. And also, thanks for subscribing.